Today, we're going to dive into some of life's biggest questions. The ones that don't really have easy answers. We're talking success, failure, the role of luck, and all the crazy, unexpected ways our lives can connect. And we're going to do it all through one single, powerful story. It all starts with a question I think a lot of us have asked ourselves at some point.
You know that feeling, right? You're on a roll, everything's just clicking, and then, poof, the momentum is just gone. It just stops working. Well, this is the exact spot our first character finds himself in, and it's the question that sends his entire world into a tailspin. And of course, that first question leads right to this one. When things go our way, is it because we're talented? And when they fall apart, is it just bad luck? I mean, how much of our own story is actually in our control? And how much is just chance? A series of lucky or maybe unlucky breaks? It's a classic saying, right? Super hopeful. But is it really true? Well, we're about to see this idea put to the ultimate test with two very different lives, one spiraling down, the other on a surprising rise. And we're going to see what happens when their paths cross in a way neither of them expected. Okay, so first up, let's meet the successful writer. This is a young guy who, pretty much his whole life, believed the answer to everything was just to win. He built his entire identity around this one single-minded goal.
And this quote, it gets right to the heart of what makes him tick. See, as the first child of parents who dreamed of this huge family, he always felt this pressure to be the best at absolutely everything. And that drive is what eventually pushed him into writing a world he felt like he could invent and, more importantly, control.
So his career didn't launch with one big break. No, it was more like this delicate, fragile chain of pure luck. Every single link depended entirely on the next person just happening to say yes. It was this perfect storm of good fortune, but as he was about to learn, a foundation that's built on just chance can be, well, pretty darn unstable.
With success, of course, came fame. But what even is fame? For the young woman he's about to meet, the definition is simple, almost primal, It's just the opposite of being forgotten, the fear of oblivion.
But the writer himself, he has a much more isolating take on it. He describes it as this thing that everyone else can see, but you can't. It just shows this huge disconnect he feels from his own public identity, like he's not even in the driver's seat of his own story anymore. And then, right at the peak of his success, it happens. Vertigo. His inspiration just vanishes, gone without a trace, and it leaves him completely blank, staring at a page, wondering if that whole chain of lucky breaks was just luck, and if maybe, just maybe, he never had any real talent to begin with.
Okay, so now let's flip the script and turn to our second character. Her journey is a total contrast. It doesn't start with a burning desire for success, but from a place of really deep loss.
After losing her grandparents, the people who raised her, she packs up and moves to the city, looking for a fresh start. And this quote just captures that flicker of hope she had. But those last two words, it seemed, man, they tell you everything you need to know about the tough reality that was waiting for her.
So unlike the writer's chain of pure luck, her path was all about resilience. It was a grind, Odd jobs, dead ends. But through it all, she was preparing. She memorized an entire play by heart with no idea if she'd ever get a chance to perform it. She wasn't just waiting for luck. She was training for an opportunity.
And this is her reality right now. She's living two lives. Actress by night, delivery driver by day. Her world is all about constant movement and connecting with people, which is the complete opposite of the writer, who's trapped and totally alone with his success.
And now, these two parallel lives are just about to slam into each other. And the thing that brings them together is something as simple and everyday as a home delivery.
So at the exact moment they meet, they're living in completely opposite universes. He's totally stuck in a crisis, doubting if he was ever really good at all. She, on the other hand, is living a dream, celebrating her first big role. For him, luck feels like a thing of the past. For her, the future is all about the hustle. Their conversation is fine, a little polite, a little distant, until she drops this confession. And just like that, the anonymous delivery girl isn't anonymous anymore, and that wall between them just crumbles.
She tells him that his work, the very thing he feels so cut off from now, was basically her lifeline. His book was her friend when she was all alone and struggling in the city. He had this huge impact on her that he never knew about, a real connection that existed way before she ever rang his doorbell.
And then comes the twist. Their meeting? It wasn't an accident. She admits that when she took the delivery job, she was hoping for this exact moment. She didn't just sit back and wait for luck to find her. She went out and helped it along. She created this opportunity.
So their 5 incorrect minutes of coffee are wrapping up, but it's obvious that something has been sparked in both of them. A connection's been made. But hold on, there's one more reveal coming.
And with that, she leaves him with one last piece of the puzzle. The play she's so proud of, her big break, it was inspired by his book. That creative spark he thought he lost for good, it didn't die. It just jumped to someone else and started a whole new fire. For a guy who's convinced he's a fraud, I mean, what could possibly be more powerful to hear? She leaves, and he finally turns to that mysterious package that brought her to his door in the first place. He opens it up and finds absolutely nothing. The box is totally empty.
But her parting words just hang in the air, leaving him and us with this final, brilliant question. Are you sure it's empty? Look again. Maybe the empty box wasn't the delivery. Maybe the real delivery was the conversation, the connection, that spark. Maybe that empty box is just a blank page, waiting for a new story. And maybe, just maybe, this time, he has luck.